Hello from sunny Mountain Mowbray. I'll get my words out in a minute. My name is Jennifer Taylor, and welcome to my podcast. I'm really, really excited. I've got to put my reading glasses on, I do, so I can see Sarah. But welcome, Sarah. Thank you for coming onto my channel. Um, can you start off by saying, because I've watched you with Thomas and I've watched your podcast on Wuthering Nights, and I find what you talk about so, so interesting because I've come out of like the New Age bubble. I've left being questioning what is this reality. So I'm asking lots of different people what you believe in, and that's the whole idea of this conversation today. Because one of the videos that you did or podcasts you did, which blew my socks off, was when living our everyday life can be quite magical if we are aware. And I thought, gosh, it really struck a chord with me. So if you could start off by just introducing yourself, please, Sarah, and how you got into this. Where did it all begin? How did it start?
Okay, yeah, hi Jenny, and it is really great to be here. So thanks for having me on. I was really pleasantly surprised when I got your email asking me to come on, so that was lovely. I'm a writer and a content creator, and I've had a lifelong interest in the paranormal and the unseen, and just trying to find that magic that you mentioned in everyday life. I grew up with ghosts and I've lived in several haunted houses as a child with strange things happening. And I still see ghosts and spirit to this day. And it's become quite normal for me now to wake up in the middle of the night and see apparitions and strange entities, either doing their own thing or standing over the bed looking. And sometimes I just roll over and go back to sleep, and other times it can really freak me out and I'll scream and give my husband a bit of a heart attack. What else? These days, yeah, I make a show called Hocus Focus where I look into the unexplained and fortean themes, but I try to do it from the perspective of everyday life. And I like exploring these topics because they're not just out there, but they're also in here as well, in how we live our lives and how we feel and how those experiences can help us to perceive the world. And I think with this topic, my niche, I'm less interested in dogma and I'm more about, yeah, I'm less interested in dogma and I'm not interested in finding definitive answers about any one thing, about the unexplained. It's the actual mystery that interests me. And I'm a bit like yourself. I fell down the New Age rabbit hole for a while. Scrabbled about on the bottom of that for a bit and eventually found my way back up. And from there, I've kind of found and carved out my own solo path to walk on in regards to my beliefs about the unexplained and spirituality.
Wonderful, thank you. You're so elegant. I kind of like stutter and go blah 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 like that. That's so fascinating. One of the things that can I ask you because about spirits and ghosts because um when I was talking to Thomas, like our loved ones that passed over, they become our ancestors and they're off doing their things. So when you mention spirits and ghosts, are they, in your mind, are they our loved ones? Are they all, are they spirits and ghosts that kind of like a bit stuck around and haven't moved on?
It's all those things, really. It depends. I tend to think that ghosts aren't just one thing. They can take lots of different forms. Some are some can be residual energy, like emotional recordings that are left behind in a place, like with a lot of haunted houses, and others can be conscious spirits, like ancestors or relatives, or just lost souls choosing to make contact or to visit you, and whether that's right in front of your eyes or through a dream state. That depends on your own ability and how open you are. And I think because they exist on a different frequency, beyond this tiny bit of visible light that we can see, they often appear very fuzzy or fleeting and incomplete. So a lot of the times we question, did I just see that? But what was that? It's a thing out the corner of your eye. And it's I liken that to like trying to listen to a radio when it's not quite tuned in properly. So the signal's there to see these apparitions, but it's a lot of the times it's distorted. And they also think that a lot of environments can amplify activity, especially in places that are full of quartz crystal, which is an area where I live in the Pennines. There's lots of quartz up there in the hills. And that's why lots of locations with natural quartz seem haunted, because the environment kind of acts like a recording device, which has been named the stone tape theory. And quartz has a lot of piezoelectric properties, and that means it generates an electrical charge when it's under pressure, and that's why it's used in things like watches and technology, because it can hold and amplify energy and respond to vibrations. So it would make sense that in nature that also stores this emotional or energetic imprint which can be left behind by people or events. And I also have a lot of quartz crystal in the house as well, and I wear it, and that also could be a reason why I experience kind of a lot of apparitions or ghosts and things. I'm not talking about in the middle of the waking day in the beta state of the mind, but when you're in that daydreamy state, you know, or when you're meditating, or when you wake up and you're not quite awake and your consciousness hasn't caught up with you yet, but your body's awake. It's usually in those states. And yeah, very often it can be your relatives. Maybe they popped over to say hello. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of the things that I see, I don't recognize who they are. They're just people or strange looking things. Um, Always bipedal, two legs, two arms, nothing monstrous. And I've never really come across anything that's felt evil or bad. But then again, and because I'm aware of these things, I do have a lot of psychic protection in place, so I don't go around open to anything. So before I go to bed, I do make sure that I'm closed down and that I've got protection. You know, a lot of people, when you're not aware of the paranormal or the magic of the world, if you like, then people walk around and their back doors are open like a cat flap, and then you're a Belisha beacon to attract anything, really.
Thank you, Sarah. I love I just wrote it down, the magic of the world. And then I'm like listening to I've got clear quartz. A few years ago, we went to Scotland in the caravan we did, and we were heading towards Fort William. So we kind of like took like it was a long way because not the route that's the quickest. So we went through a lot of empty, well, I've empty space, wasn't empty space. And I just got that eerie fit. I didn't like it. I wasn't, I couldn't connect to Scotland at all. Sorry if anyone's Scottish. Um, because I just felt like we were being watched, and I felt very upset when I was there. Like, so that would explain, like, I was picking up on the energy of the place. There must have been some sort of battle or loss or something. Would you say?
I would, and Fort William rings a bell with me. Is that something to do with where the Prime Minister goes and visits? Is that his holiday place?
Could be.
Fort William, one of the rabbit holes I've been down, Fort William has come up over and over, and it's something to do, I don't know if it's the Prime Minister or where politicians go. It's the holiday kind of golfing place, I think, of some of the higher ups, if you like.
Yeah.
And that might have something to do with it, because who knows what goes on in those places that we don't know about. So you may have been picking up on that, but don't quote me on it. But Fort William does ring a bell in those conspiracy circles. Yeah.
Well, if anyone's listening, perhaps they'll leave their thoughts in the comments. And then we headed off to Inverness, and I quite liked Inverness. I was quite settled there, but yeah, it was strange. I'd love to go to Scotland again, but I was just it. I well, I don't know actually. So I really did feel upset. And rabbit holes, that's one of the things I've noticed, that when we come out of the new age bubble, we then start to listening into the conspiracy theories, don't we? And we go down some huge rabbit holes. And one of the rabbit holes that really kind of like I went like feet first was the rabbit hole of Tartaria. Have you come across Tartaria? What?
I've heard about it. I'm not au fait with what it's exactly about. Is it something to do with geomancy or something about where buildings are built to harness the energy, usually around the water and through steeples and things like that, which is quite ancient knowledge anyway, isn't it? I'm not sure what the conspiracy there is, but I don't know what the story of
Oh,
Tartaria is really. It's not something that I've ever thought, oh, I'll go and have a look. I've heard it floating around, but I've never been and had a look at that.
yeah, it was a previous civilization that built all these buildings, and I always think of like Buckingham Palace and those buildings, and then yeah, it was using the ether to power, and it was there's this and this is what makes me kind of like curious, is it true? Because there's one channel, and she's got a huge amount of followers. And usually, if someone's telling the truth, they don't like the information to get out, do they? And then the civilization, oh, it was built from these people that came from outer space. And the guy who built it was called Michael for some reason. And then the gods left, and then they left us all behind. And so it kind of like, and then these ancient buildings that's still all around, they were built by this advanced civilization. But I came out that rabbit hole because I found that it just kind of like drained my energy, if that makes sense. Another rabbit hole. What's your thoughts on the moon?
Um, you mean, do I think it exists?
Yeah, or what do you think the moon is? Because some people say it's a satellite, and some people say, it can affect us.
Yeah, I certainly think it can affect our moods. I mean, it certainly has a pull on the tides. And we're 70% water as well, so it would make sense that it has an effect on us. Um, it's where the word lunatic comes from, what it is it an Earth satellite? I don't know what it is exactly. I just know it's very beautiful. I mean, I've always felt an affinity with the moon. I love to look at it. It's never sent me doolally or anything like that. I always feel quite romantic when I see the moon, and I love nothing more than being outside and bathing in the moonlight if it's a warm evening. Um, so what it is, I don't know. Do I think it has an effect on us? Yes, absolutely, I do. It has, because like I say, you can see the effect it has on the water. So of course, I believe it has an effect on us too, both usually on the nervous system, so psychically. I think a person who's affected by the moon might not be aware of that, but moods do change, and crime rates and things do tend to go up during a full moon.
Thank you, thank you. And the opposite to the moon is the sun, isn't it? I just love the sun. I just think it's just so powerful, and how it can bring such healing to us. And I got this little oak acorn that's now grown into a little oak tree, and it's almost like the sun is what's making the leaves grow rather than, because we haven't had much rain, have we, for ages. So you you mentioned the magic of this world, and one of the things um, I don't know if I believe in or not still, because I'm still finding my way out of it all, is that there's many different dimensions to this reality. So, in your terms, how would you describe the magic of the world, Sarah?
Could you just give me a second? My screen's gone funny. Just one sec. So
Yeah, of
sorry, one
course.
second. How would I describe the magic of the world,
Yeah,
did you say?
yeah.
Well, it's certainly not in, doesn't have to be in the big things. It's more in the small things. And it could be something as simple as a synchronicity. It could be something as simple as doing something nice for yourself to make the day feel enchanted, to be a bit more sensual details that we overlook in our everyday life, like laying the table beautifully for yourself, using the good crockery instead of saving it for best, and wearing the dress that you've been saving for a special occasion, and you making that conscious decision to make that day the special occasion just by choosing to wear it, even if it's just to go across to the corner shop or sit in the house or the garden. It's getting your hands into the earth and feeling the living world through your fingertips and your skin. I think it can come from breathing in your favorite scent, or my favorite, that first cup of coffee in the morning, that first sip, hearing a song that moves you, a piece of chocolate that you put in your mouth and eat it mindfully, losing yourself in a book, daydreaming, paying someone a compliment, telling somebody you love them and really meaning it, or doing something kind for somebody without needing recognition. And I think the more present and sensual that we become in our lives, then the more we tune in to the magic that's already all around us and within us as well. And I believe that when you start living that way and seeing life that way, some of the obstacles in your life will start to disappear, and then opportunities will start to show themselves to you. And when I say that, I don't mean clicking your heels 3 times and trying to manifest the big car or the big house, because that's not how this works. I'm talking about waking up to the magic that's, already around us and becoming more aware of how subtle it is. I think that's when opportunities arise, and then you can decide whether or not to put in the necessary action to fulfill those opportunities. And I think magic isn't rare, it's awareness of magic that's rare. And once you start to become aware of its presence, it's everywhere. It doesn't have to just be in the paranormal or in the new age, or you know it goes beyond just spirituality. It's in the everyday things that we do. You can find magic in the commute to work. I mean, I found magic in the most boring commute to work that I used to do when I was working in an office. I used to have to commute to work, an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back, 2 buses. It's 3 hours out of my day, 5 days a week. That's a lot of time. And I could either spend it looking out the window, feeling resentful for a job that I didn't want, or I could put that time to good use. And I used it to start listening to audio books and reading books about the things that we talk about, psychic development, the paranormal, which I was already into, jumping down rabbit holes, and just trying to feel if different areas felt different. Did the bus feel different when certain people got on? Did it feel lighter or heavier, and things like that? And eventually from there, I managed to get out of that job and step into where I am now, really. Well, actually, if I'm being honest, that's when I fell down the new age rabbit hole for a little while, but I think that's a rite of passage. You've got to go through it to come out the other end. And I learned so much through the new age rabbit hole in terms of how to protect myself from things that we can't see, because not everything is love and light, and not everything on the other side is out with our best interests at heart. So it's just like your house. If you treat your body like your house, you wouldn't leave the front door open, would you, and let anybody come in for a cup of tea? And the new age taught me that you can't do that. I mean, they didn't actually say that, but I could see from the way people behaved and the attitudes of people that spiritually they were just wide open to let any old junk come in and take over, for want of a better word.
Because in the new age there are elements of truth in there, isn't there? There's bits that you spoke about, like psychic protection, and then also like our home is an extension of our energy, and we should really protect our home as well. I was listening to you, Sarah, and I was like, Oh, you know how you just, my energy just goes, oh, and you just make everything sound not magical in like, oh, magical, but you just got a presence about you, Sarah. The way you talk about everyday life, just putting the magic in from the moment you wake up. Um, it's just that's why I so wanted to talk to you because it's just we can it's it's like being grounded, isn't it? It's just like being really mindful in every single moment. What do you do as protection for yourself? What when you go to sleep or and when you wake up?
I draw the runic symbols around the bed, just, just in the air, and I sleep with a couple of runes at the side of the bed. Um, Sometimes I'll have some salt, kosher salt, um, either in a pouch or just in a little dish on the side of the bed. Nothing grandiose, anything like that. And I might just say an affirmation or two before I go to sleep. And that's all really. And I've never experienced anything that I felt was truly evil. I don't like using that word, but yeah, evil, or negative. I mean, there have been
Yeah,
things that I've seen that I've thought, oof, don't like that, or no, I'm not sure about that, but nothing that I felt threatened by, shall we say.
because in the new age, it talks about love and light all the while, isn't it? Like everything is just, you must love everyone, and it's all about manifesting the big car and the big house, when in reality, that may not even be what you want, the big house, the big car. And it's not about loving everyone, is it? Because there's some awful people out there too, isn't there? So what is one of the biggest rabbit holes that you've fell into?
Oh gosh, let me think. You've caught me on the
Mhm.
hop there.
I have.
Let me think. There's been a few. Gosh,
We can come back to that
probably
question.
the reptilians. I went down there for a bit.
David Icke.
Yeah, I went down there for a bit. Yeah, the reptilians was a big one. And I came out of that because one, it was bloody depressing. And that everything, everything in the world was not as we thought it was. And everybody in these higher places of governments and who ruled the world, if you like, they were all reptilian, and I didn't like that. And whether it's true or not, I didn't like it, and I thought I'm not having that as part of my reality because it depressed me, because a lot of it's very depressing, which I think you can see in a lot of people who are stuck down those kind of pathways. They don't look very happy. They look quite miserable, and they want everybody else to be miserable, and it's a lot of doom scrolling with them. There's no hope, and when a little bit of hope does come along, it's squashed. And you've not done your research properly, and you're not awake, and they throw that around a lot. So yeah, the reptilians was a big one.
Yeah, I fell for that one as well. And it is, you're right, Sarah, because every time you go down these rabbit holes, it all, and I've stopped going down some rabbit holes now, because it is just drains your energy and you feel like you've got no hope. And, and another one was like, this is like a prison planet as well. And we've got to escape and we've got to leave and I don't want to be here. And I thought, oh, I've got granddaughter and I've got my dogs. And I thought, I don't want to, why can't we just,
Yeah.
live? And
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Prison Planet was a big one. I don't like that. I don't want to leave here. I'm not ready. I want to pave the way and make the most of it, because we're here for a reason. We're here to learn. I'm a big believer in reincarnation, and we're here for a reason. What that reason is, we have to discover. Um, Maybe we're here to work off some karma. Maybe we're here to do great things. Maybe we're just here to, maybe the previous life that we had was so intense and so full of horrible things that those of us who are here now living a nice, quiet, content life, just getting on with things. Maybe that's our karma and we deserve a bit of a rest? I don't know. But Prison Planet, no, I don't know. I mean, yes, things are pretty bad here, but with anything, you choose to either be swept along with it or to say, well, I'm going to make the bloody best of it because I'm here. And in the next life, I don't want to have to repeat the lessons that I'm here for to learn again. So I want to do the best that I can. So I don't like that term Prison Planet. I really feel honoured and privileged to be alive and healthy. So I'm in no rush to escape this planet, and I hope I've got many, many more years here to make
Yeah,
the best of.
yeah. And you know, what you also said was about creating our reality, isn't it? And when you was talking previously, like putting on your favorite dress and setting the table, and that felt more uplifting than when we go down these rabbit holes, because it just drains our energy. And then I've also bought your book, Hocus Focus.
Focus,
Yes,
focus, yes.
yes,
Merging hauntology, forteana, yes.
yes, but I was staying at a friend's house, and I've left it with her to read, so I can't pick up the copy. But that, can you talk about your book and how you came about writing it with Thomas?
Yeah, well, we were doing the show together, as you know. We did that together for about 2 years. And we thought, I mean, our shows, when I was doing them with Thomas, the shows were quite long, couple of hours worth many, many times. And I remember the first year we were doing that once a week. And I honestly don't know how I did that. I don't think the house was cleaned, shall we say.
Mhm.
And I think I lived, well, me and my husband were like, takeaway tonight. I don't know how we did that once a week, but we did. As you do, you find a way. And we decided that we want a book so that we could perhaps go into a little bit more detail with some of the topics that we're talking about, because even if you're doing a 2 hour show, you're still time limited, and there's only so much you can say on YouTube before you get closed down or, demonetized or whatever. So we decided that we wanted this book to be like a guide to living with a more fortean perspective in life, finding the magic, if you like, which is the kind of tangent that I've gone off on. And it wasn't just about a book about having an interest in ghosts or weird happenings, though I know that, well, he and myself absolutely love that. But it was more about bringing some curiosity and a bit more open-mindedness into the people's day, and tuning into the fact that there's more going on beneath the surface of reality, and learning to trust your instincts or your intuition, and accepting that not everything can or should be explained away, and that not everything that you're told about this reality is how it is, and that there are seen and unseen forces at work on this planet, and the unseen is just as real as any of the seen that we can see. And we also talk about in that book about the importance of standing in your truth and not worrying about what other people think of you, either at work, by the water cooler, or down the pub, because oh, I don't know, let's be honest, going along with the crowd, especially lately, it's really bad for your health, as we know. And sometimes questioning things is what can keep you grounded. And I've been like that since I was little, and I didn't have a name for it back then. Really have a name for it now. But I was a really sensitive child, as I mentioned, and seeing spirit and picking up on stuff all the time. And I think Thomas was the same as well. And we decided we just wanted to put all that into a book. And if it could just help one person to open their minds and see that not everything you're told is gospel, and that there's so much more to the unseen and the fortean world if you just scratch the surface. And just because you can't prove what something is doesn't invalidate it in any way. It's like myself. If I saw something in the sky, a strange light in the sky, I could say to you, well, or the moon, you asked me what the moon was. I could say, well, I don't know what it is, but I know what I think it might be. But it doesn't mean it's the truth. It's just keeping an open mind to everything, really, and using discernment and just questioning, you asking more questions instead of searching for answers, and not just taking those answers that you're given as gospel because it soothes you, or it makes your perspective on life fit into a nice little neat box. I think they call it cognitive dissonance, don't they?
Mm.
When you're given some information about something, or you see something and it just blows open the way you see the world, and you don't like it, so you want to go back to how it was. That's quite dangerous thinking.
Yeah, I agree. And I was just thinking back to my childhood. I would say I was sensitive, and when I used to go to sleep at night, because I was my mum died when I was 3 years old, so I lived with my grandparents. And each night I could feel someone sat at the end of the bed, and I used to shout to my grumpy, "There's someone on the bed." And he goes, "No, no, there's nobody there." But obviously there was something there, and it wasn't. I didn't. I felt frightened because I couldn't see it, but I knew something was there. So it's being aware of the energy, isn't it? And then so and it is being aware, like, and then fast forward to being a grown up. And then you kind of like get bogged down with everyday life and, the work and so forth, that we sometimes lose that magic and awe that we had as children. Wouldn't you agree? Like, as children, we were just open and inquisitive, and we asked loads of questions. And then we go to school and we're taught, you mustn't ask questions, you must sit still, and this is the reality, and we're all programmed, aren't we? But then there's quite a few of us that kind of like went off to a tangent, and especially over the last few years, where we're kind of like, everyone else is going down that path, and we're just in that path. And that really was quite an eye opener for me. I was quite shocked by everyone's kind of like how they just went down that one. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I do, yeah. And I think children are fascinating. Myself and my niece, when she was a toddler, she would walk into a room and say, "Who's that man there?" Or "That man's laughing at me," or, "Who is he?" And there was no, I couldn't see who was there. She's gone into my mum and dad's house and said, "Who's that there?" Or she'll be in the kitchen eating something for her tea, and then she'll be waving and laughing at somebody. But now, as she's got a little bit older, she started primary school. She's nearly 7 now. It's kind of gone away. And I think the
Mm.
school has a lot to do with that. And the fear, they learn this fear of ridicule, don't they? They start to get a sense of self, and they start to feel a little bit like the confidence, because somebody might laugh. And at that age, if somebody laughs at you or says, "Oh, no, that's rubbish," it kind of sticks with you. And I think it's knocked out of children at an early age. And I think that magic can be kept alive if the parents kind of don't do that. If the parents encourage it, because I was really lucky, my parents encouraged it. My dad's very psychic, so um, I was encouraged to be a weirdo, if you like. And we had so much bloody paranormal activity going on at home that it was indisputable. But I used to keep it to myself at school, because I learned there was another girl at my school. She was called Terry, and she was going through the same thing, and she was very vocal about it. And the girls tore her to shreds at school. They used to call her Carrie, after the movie Carrie, that film, and I thought, no, I don't want that. School's bad enough as it is, so I used to keep quiet and keep it to myself and live in my own kind of head where things like that were concerned. And I learned to kind of discuss it with people who were open and receptive to it, not because I don't need to prove it to anybody. Do you know what I mean? People are always trying to prove something, aren't they? Oh, can you prove you're psychic? Prove it. What did you see? Prove it. I don't need to prove that I have a sixth sense to anybody, because I use it for me. It's to illuminate my path, not to prove to somebody down the pub, or to do parlor tricks and get a round of applause. It's not for that.
How do you use your psychic abilities to enhance your life?
Um, I I read people. I get feelings about people. Sometimes it can take a while. I have to go through a bit of hurt or upset, but then usually if that happens, I've had a warning. Something in my head has said, this person or this situation, don't do it. This is something not right. Can't put my finger on it. That's what I hear. And I can't always verbalize what that something that isn't quite right is. But if I ignore it and I go along, I usually end up regretting it. So I use it for kind of reading people and staying away from situations that I think would do me more harm than good. Um, I use it. I use my intuition, whether in my work life, for my creativity. Which way should I go? Well, should I write about this or should I do that? What about this? What about that? And I try and um, get a mental picture in my head of the way it's going to work out. I mean, it's none of it's 100% certain. It's an intuition, and sometimes intuition can be wrong, or but 9 times out of 10, it steers me in the right direction. And I do a lot of um, meditation, not where I go off and go channeling and talking to other beings or entities, but I just sit quietly with myself, with my daemon, if you like, and just see what comes through, just see what the side of me that I don't always have access to has to say. And sometimes I ask it questions, I ask myself questions and just sit quietly and see what comes through as a flash of inspiration. And I always write it down. And it might be something that I don't use for 3 months, but it's there. And I think, oh, I'm so glad I wrote that down. I'm going to write about that now, or I'm going to bring that into Hocus Focus, or that's, I'm going to draw a picture about that, or that's answered a question about something that I wasn't sure about. So lots of different ways, really. But it's not it's not this, oh, oh, I'm getting the word John Smith. Do do you know a John?
Yeah, kind of bitter it used to be, wasn't it, John Smith? Wasn't it bitter?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. See, yeah, you answered my question. I was going to ask you because you know, like some people tune into their spirit guides, and I'm like, well, I've never had a spirit guide, no, I don't tune into anyone. And when I used to do the card readings at Ragdale, I used to just tune into the person I was reading for, and then like, what is it this person needs to know? So I was tuning into their energy. So you answered my question when I said I was going to ask you, who do you tune into? And you tune into your daemon, isn't it? Which is that part of us that's always with us and protecting us and guiding us. And like like if we could be going, our daemon could be like 2 meters ahead of us, watching out for danger, so to speak. Would you agree with what I'm saying? Do you
Yeah,
think?
absolutely, I
Yeah,
would. I would. And in regards to spirit guides, I tune into my ancestors, if you like.
ancestors.
Yes. Or if I want some higher some divine guidance, if you like. I don't really know what the terminology is because the terminology all sounds so bloody new age, doesn't it? So you have to
Yes.
be careful. And I don't know, I find it very difficult to verbalize that side of me. But if I want some higher guidance, or if I want to call in the big guys, if you like, then I will work with a particular god that I think would be able to assist, but I never demand, and I never, what is the word? Is it invoking?
Yeah.
I never invoke, I never say, oh, I want you here now. I just quietly put my thoughts out there um, and ask for help with whatever. And I don't mean help with the car and the job or anything, but usually it's like for courage. I need courage. I need some clarity. I need some direction. This situation, I need to get out of it. Can you give me some
Guidance.
guidance? And then what I do then is I always give something back. So it might be picking up a bit of litter. I might go outside and see some litter on the floor. So I'll pick it up and put it in the bin. Um, one time I did some work with Thor about something, and I was making a curry for me and my husband, and I put an extra plate out and put a spoon of curry on this plate and half a glass of beer. And my husband said, there's some food there. Do you want me to put that in the bin? Is it leftovers? And I'm like, no, 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 don't touch that. No, leave it. And he said, well, who's it for? And I just looked at him and he went, oh, right. Is it one of them?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, I do things like that, little things, or really just a spoon of food that I'm already cooking, put it on a plate and leave it there. Um,
Do you
Picking up,
leave it in the house? Do you leave it in the house?
just leave it in on the side or on the table while we're eating, and it's there as it's symbolic. It's a gesture. It's just there. And I
Oh,
say, this is for you. This is because you've sacrificed this. You've kind of sacrificed part of the meal that you was going to eat. You've
right.
got half a bottle of beer and you put some in a glass, you sacrifice that small amount of beer. It's just it's a token because, that's we can only do it symbolically, really. Or I might you know, give some money to the man on the street, or like I say, pick up some rubbish because I do a lot of walking with my dad and we're always picking up bottles and things and we do that kind of like as a heads up just to say thank you for the guidance and the help that we've received, because my dad's pretty much the same mindset as me, and that's just our kind of keeping the woodland clean and tidy as we go along.
Oh,
Small things like that.
yeah, because from talking with Fiona, Edgar, she really opened up this world that I wasn't aware, and that was the old gods and goddesses. And again, we're talking with Tina and Alona, like with the runes and our ancestors. And I've never felt so, even though my life is like going through some major stuff at the moment, I've never felt so connected in all the times previous when it was like the new age or like trying to understand religion, which I used to go to the churches and just listen to the vicars and they used to rabbit on and I would like be bored. So I knew, but yeah, our connection to our ancestors and the gods and goddesses and leaving those, that's really brought the magic into back into my life, which I realized I always used to do when I was a child, and then obviously went to Australia and grew up and lost it, but not really lost it because my intuition has always guided me. But yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a bit of my food because it's not, that's the thing with the new age, isn't it? It is about demanding, isn't it? You pray to this one person, God, because they talk about God, isn't it? It's one God and it's the angels. That's very much the new agey thing. And then you demand what you want. But then they never spoke about leaving a gift at all, did they? Whereas with the old ways, it is about all the different gods and goddesses, and they all play a part, like the thunder and fertility and healing and health. And it just and am I right in saying the more you open up to that, the more they come closer, our ancestors come closer, because it is about honoring our ancestors. It is of honoring the fact that even though they're not here, our grandma and granddad and great grandma and granddad and aunts and uncles, they all played a massive important role, isn't it? And we should keep them alive.
Absolutely, yeah. And um, when we say they come closer, I don't always think that they come closer as in they've stopped what they're doing wherever they are and they're here watching you and walking alongside you. I think they can be kind of omnipresent and it's more like it's just their presence or their essence is with you. So,
Yeah.
and they're giving you strength that way. Do you know what I mean? Like a hug. When you hug somebody and you
Yeah.
feel that love or that strength, they're kind of doing that for you. And I think they also understand that there are times in life when we do lose our connection to that because we've got our own things going on down here as well. Um, and that can take us away from the spiritual path or the path of the ancestors, and we have to get on with life, because even looking for magic in everyday life, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden it's all going to be roses and unicorns and sparkles, because it absolutely isn't. You've still got bills to pay, you've still
Mm.
got to deal with the things that life throws at you, but it just helps to take the edge off. So
Yeah.
when you said, you lost your connection a little bit there, it's okay to lose your connection. It happens. We're only human. We're human, we're having an experience here, and things get in the way, and we can't be connected to the gods and our ancestors 24/7, because then we wouldn't be grounded to the earth, and that's not how it's meant to be. We're meant to be here doing our thing. Um, that's what I think.
Yeah, because one of the things Lona said, which I I hadn't even thought about, is like, yeah, we've got to be here creating our life, living our life, and the everyday things that we have to do, because one day we're going to be the ancestors too. That's our next role. Like wherever we go, whatever we do, um, it's so important. I wanted to ask you about mirrors because you did a podcast on the mirrors. Because over the period of time, I've heard some people say that, and I do cover mirrors up. I think my daughter thinks I do lally, um, because when I yeah in the bedrooms I have the mirrors covered over because aren't they like a portal between?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they can be. People have said that. I certainly believe that they can be, if you're not careful. There was in the Victorian times, they would cover the mirrors up after a funeral or before a funeral, because they believed that if the spirit of the dead person saw itself in the mirror, it would be trapped. It would become trapped. The mirror would trap it and it would be stuck there forever. So they would cover, that's why the Victorians covered the mirrors. Um, and also when we go to sleep at night, we astral travel. So our souls come out of our body and we're off traveling, doing what we do. And the belief is that I mean, I'm not saying this is true, but it's a superstition. The superstition or the belief is that if when you're astral traveling and your soul sees itself in the mirror, there's a danger that it might become trapped in there. That's where covering the mirrors before you go to bed originates from. It's a Victorian thing, yeah. I don't cover
Wow.
my mirror. I don't look at it with the light off. I won't look into it with the light off. Why? I don't know. I just don't like the how it makes you look when the light's off when you look in the mirror. It's kind of weird. I don't like that, and you just never know what's looking back. So I don't. The light's off. I won't look in the mirror, but I don't cover it. I'm not worried about getting trapped in one. But I do. Yeah, I do think there could be a portal in and out. Yeah. I'm not keen on secondhand mirrors either.
Ah, I'm not keen
Yeah.
on secondhand jewelry.
Yeah.
No, I don't mind like hand-me-downs from like my mum's rings, my nana's rings, but I couldn't think of anything worse than going into jewelry shop, those old and buying someone else's jewelry because it contains the energy, doesn't it?
Yeah, like pawn shops are a big one for that, because I mean, you go into a pawn shop, and I'm not knocking anybody who goes into pawn shops, don't get me wrong, but for the purpose of what we're talking about here, you go to a pawn shop and there's engagement rings there. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, why are those engagement rings there? Or those wedding rings? Why are they there? Because the bloody marriage has probably ended or it's not gone very well. And you buy that ring and you're going to use that for your wedding, your marriage, a wedding ring from a marriage that's broken up and God knows what's gone on. Don't find No, that's not for me at all. And you can smudge it and clean it and cleanse it as much as you want. Still don't want that. No.
Do you think smudging works?
Um, Depends what you're using it for. I use it to just break up the energy, stagnant energy in the corners of the house. I go around clapping and I smudge with an incense stick. That's just to get rid of some stagnant energy spots and things like that. Do I think it works in things like haunted houses with bad entities and layers and layers and layers of negative energy? I think it might take a little bit more than that. So I use it to smudge myself, just to clean my aura, just gentle things like that. Again, it sounds very new age, doesn't it? But it works for me. I like it.
So with the new age, there's still like a lot of, like I said to you in the beginning of our conversation, it's got a lot of truths in there and a lot of practices that are very helpful. So I guess, it's the because it's very much a religious feel to it, hasn't it? The new age, like the one God and the angels, and you can call upon this angel to help you, and it's like what you said with our ancestors and loved ones. I agree with you. It's not like they're walking side by side and having a cup of tea with us, and a kind of like I don't feel the need to kind of, or I kind of like respect the fact that they're doing their own thing wherever they're doing. But if we honor them, like in just like I don't know, just flowers or something, or speak of them and with love, it kind of like just that's how I do it. I'm waffling again. You've got an event coming up because I was listening to, it's Neil, it wasn't it? You had that, I want to call him Neil. Is it, or is it Michael?
Neil MacDonald.
Neil MacDonald, that's it.
I'll put
I
you in touch with him if you ever want to speak to him. I'll put you in touch with him.
Please,
Yeah.
please. So and when so I'm going to hand it over to you because when I was watching your conversation with him and listening, then I Googled, it's really cheap to go to. It's like, and then the staying in the hotel, I thought, oh my God, that sounds like like-minded people. Because I don't know about you. Before I just suddenly wanted to say, everyone seems to have very similar conversations. I went to this baby shower on Sunday, and this couple were talking about their wedding and how like they're going to do the vows, and I find conversations like that very boring. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it's almost like that narrative is like we go to school and then we get married and then it's the big wedding and everyone wears white, and then it's like then you expect to have the children, and then I'm saying to my daughter, you don't have to get married to Dom if you don't want to. She goes, well, we'll probably just have a little registry office and have a big party. And I thought, yes, brilliant, do that. I want you to be different, Emma. And she is actually bringing her daughter up different to everyone. So this event, when I was listening to you two talk, I thought, wow. So what's this event? You're going to be talking there about the paranormal, normal, aren't you? So could you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Um, well, it's Neil's event. He runs a touring company for megaliths. So he has a small people carrier or a bus type thing, and he does tours all around the country. Megalithic tours, it's called. It takes people to sacred sites and gives them information, and it's kind of like a holiday really based around megaliths. And he's been doing that for years, and a lot, many years. Um, and what he's been doing for the last 17 years is he has a yearly conference where he invites speakers to come and talk and to talk about these kind of subjects. It could be about folklore or megaliths, ancient sites, paranormal, anything that comes under the umbrella of mysterious earth. People go there and give a talk about it. And there's lots of stalls there as well. I remember the first time I went to one, there was several tarot stalls there, people giving tarot readings. You can buy things like tarot cards. There's lots of jewelry stores, homemade jewelry. There's artists selling their stuff. There's all kinds of things. People selling books, secondhand books. I got some great rare books from there as well. And then people come, obviously, for the weekend, and it's very laid back and easy. You have a talk and then there's quite a substantial break in between, so you've got time so you can mingle around and meet new people and talk about what you've just listened to, or if you want to speak to the speaker and say, oh, I enjoyed your talk, but I've got this question, you can do that as well. So it's very intimate and things like that. There's no egos there, everybody's kind of at the same level. And then in the evening on the first night, they all tend to go out. Sometimes Neil organises a large meal for everybody to attend, but I think that the event got so big, so many people coming, that became a little bit difficult to arrange. So now it's kind of, oh, well, we're going to be at such a place at 7:30. If you want to come, come. If you don't, that's up to you. And then people just drink and have a laugh and talk about the things that they've heard at the conference that day. And then the following day on the Sunday, it's kind of the same thing again. And it's really good fun. And it's all full of like-minded people and all people who want to learn new things. And they're all there with open minds like a sponge, ready to take everything in. And it's just such a good weekend. And I've been going for a few years now. And then when Neil said, would you like to do a talk? I was like, what? Really? Are you serious? And he said, yeah, it would be wonderful. Would you like to come and do a talk? And it's my first public talk, which I'm absolutely terrified about, to be honest, because talking like this is okay, because I can see you and you can see me, but we can't see everybody who's watching, can we? Yeah, when we're doing a public talk, and we've got the beauty of the edit button. If we really make a bad mistake, we can cut it out and say no more about it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
in front of people, if you trip up or I don't know, say the wrong thing, forget where you're at, or just have a panic attack mid-sentence, then there's no edit button and you can see everybody who's watching, and that's quite daunting to me. And public speaking, I think, is one of my biggest fears. So I'm really facing that this year, and yeah, still don't know how I'm going to get through it, but I will get through it and I will do it. And but even talking about it just gives me butterflies. I've got butterflies now just thinking about it. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to have to imagine the audience naked or something. I don't know. Just something to ground me. I'll probably be wearing lots of crystals and salt and things on the day. But yeah.
Yeah, because when I was at Ragdale, I used to do talks in front of the therapist, easy peasy. And then like there was a room full of like 100 and my throat went dry. And um and I remember saying, "Oh, please excuse me, I'm so nervous. My legs are like jelly." And the moment I admitted I was feeling nervous and my legs were like jelly, I kind of like stepped into my power. This power came over me that kind I got through it. And but if I could have said to people, look, just close your eyes, and I was just thinking, could you say that to everyone? Let's start with a quiet meditation. Everyone close your eyes and then you can zone them out. But that it sounds absolutely fascinating. And that's in October, isn't it? I had a look at the dates.
Yeah.
So, and that was the one thing that started to break me away from the New Age stuff was like looking into the megaliths, and that's how I came across Maria Wheatley and then Thomas Sheridan, and that's how my path kind of like and. And like I said, and you said, the New Age is kind of like a passage of a rite, isn't it? We have to go through that, and I think being open and changing how we see the world as well. We have to be like the water, fluid, and not be stuck on one principle.
Yeah. And I think when you go to the Mysterious Earth conference, if you was to ask every member of the audience there, have you been down the New Age rabbit hole and done your rite of passage initiation walk? Then I think 2/3 of them were going to say, yeah, been there, done that. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, with an open mind and more interested in this kind of stuff rather than the happy clappy, let's love everybody and forgive everybody sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one of my biggest bugbears. And someone did something that was really quite unacceptable, and I said to them in a letter, because my legs was going to turn to jelly, what you've done is unacceptable. And it was almost like, I don't want to carry that burden. I don't want to carry that. I'm angry with you. So I literally wrote down in just simplicity, what you've done was not right, and I won't forgive you. And then that closed that door. Whereas with the new age, it's like love your enemy. No, and don't get angry. And sometimes in life, you've got to speak your mind. It's like standing in your truth, like you said. You know,
Yeah.
it's being true to who you are. Because if we can't be true to who we are, then we're not present. We're too people pleasing, aren't we?
Yeah. And if you don't do that, people are going to walk all over you. and you're going to have a horrible time, and people are going to think that they've got the right of a VIP access to all your personal stuff and all your personal life and your business, and there'll be no boundaries, and they'll wipe their muddy boots all over your sacred spaces. And so you've got to put your foot down, just like when the cold calling salesman comes to the door trying to sell you some broadband that you don't want, or some double glazing windows that you don't want. You don't invite him in for a cup of tea because you're not interested, because you know if you do, he's just going to gaslight you and talk you into something that you don't want. And he's got no right to come knocking at the door anyway, uninvited. So you've got to kind of have that attitude to keep your space clean. It's tough love. And sometimes it hurts, and people can say, oh, you're a bit standoffish, or you're not very nice. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's just this, I don't vibe with this person, or I'm not, this person has done something to me that I'm not going to take again.
Mm.
Everybody, people can do the things wrong, and we can forgive them, and we try again. But, once, okay, I forgive you. Twice, you're asking for trouble if it's done twice and you still continue to forgive. So, yeah, you've just got to say, enough's enough. I'm not having it anymore. And then you find that the dross, if you like, which is like an alchemical term, the rubbish falls away, goes away, and they go and find somebody else to mither and bother.
You answer questions, Sasa. Yeah. So, yeah, that really resonates with me at this moment in my life. It really resonates with me. So it's like when you put those clear boundaries in place, then the doors that need to open to allow you to walk in that new path open, don't they?
They do. And people, when you do it with people, those people will say, what's her problem? Or what's his problem? She's changed, and she's not nice anymore. Or I don't, she's nasty now. And it's not. All you've done is put a boundary there and stop them from wiping the muddy boots all over you. Um, and it's very nice to do it in a letter like what you did it, because it's just closure. You just want to get it off your chest. You don't want a back and forth about why they did it. You don't want to be gaslighted. You don't want to be manipulated. You don't want to be talked into backtracking and forgiving them again. So sometimes you just got to do what you've got to do. And as hard as that might sound, you've got to put yourself first and your peace first, rather
Yeah.
than worrying about what other people might think. If you say, well, I don't want you in my life anymore, I don't forgive you, you did this and I don't forgive you, that's unforgivable. I don't think that's selfish at all. I think that is very necessary.
Because this life is so valuable, isn't it? And it is so precious. And the fact that we're here and it goes so quick, we really have to put those kind of like boundaries in and and yeah, it really is. I'm just looking at your picture behind you. Did you paint that?
This, I
Yeah.
did, yes. A while ago now, quite a while ago. Yeah. If you can see
It's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah, I painted it for Ostara a few years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
just kind of the sun and the moon passing over Orion there, and then we've got Venus here, and obviously the the hairs, which are symbolic with the time of year, and myself.
Wow. So would you say you follow a pagan lifestyle?
Yes, I do. It's not something that I oops, shout about a lot very often. It's kind of a private thing, but yeah,
Mm.
that's what I do. I mean, I'm happy to talk to you about it now, of course. But I'm talking about, in everyday life. It's not something I just do it quietly and get on with it. But yeah, I am a pagan, yes, but I'm solitary. I don't get involved in groups, and I just take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I work with lots of different gods and ancestors depending on what's going on. And um, do I need courage, or do I just want to give something back? it depends really, but it's never for material gain.
No. Have you always been on this path, pagan?
Oh, as a child, I wasn't brought up religious. My parents weren't religious. We never went to church. We were just, okay, I guess you could say, spiritual, if you like I say, my dad was psychic. He had his own beliefs about how the world is and um, his creator and things like that. It was never forced down our throats. I just kind of fell onto the pagan path as I got older because through the paranormal really and experiences and thinking there's more to this life than meets the eye and then reading about ancestors and the land of Albion, which we come from, and the gods there and the Anglo-Saxons and the Vikings and everything like that. Started to realize that a lot of the demons, if you like, were actually, in fact, pagan gods that can be very helpful and very protective if needed, but they were demonized by Christianity because they knew of the strength in renovating. That's what we do with houses. In venerating those gods. So yeah, so I tend to keep that kind of personal because some of the gods that I've venerated or worked with, if you like, a lot of people would say, oh, that's demonic or that's satanic, and it's nothing of the kind, really. Nothing of the
Yeah.
kind.
It is a very because I notice like on social media when these people go, "Oh, I'm a witch," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't think it's something you'd want to shout to to the world if you were a true witch." And it's the same with your beliefs. They're your beliefs and they're private, and you don't really want to shout simply because it's sacred and it's something that we would have been attacked and still can be attacked with, isn't it?
Could even be a past life memory, that stops me from wanting to shout it from the rooftops because you don't know what's gone on in past lives. Could have been burned to the stake, and he could have been murdered for being accused of being a Satanist or anything in a past life. You really don't know what, because we could have been here during the Dark Ages, so it could be a remnant of that. But I'm not, I really don't. I keep it very, very low key. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Um, I think that's everything that I wanted to ask you about. It's been so fascinating talking to you. There's so much, but everyone can find out more on your YouTube channel. Do you have Substack, Sarah?
No, I've got my own website, so I blog at my own website and put all my information on there.
You got a website?
Yes,
Oh, what's your website called?
it's just saramondaini.com. Nice and original.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's me do my research, not. And what do you do tarot card readings or
Not
do
not publicly, no, no.
no?
That's not a road I want to go down because yes, I enjoy doing them and I use them for myself as like I think, if I need some counsel or I need to look at a situation from a different perspective, I use it kind of like for that. But to be doing readings for people, I think you have to be of a certain mindset to do that. And I don't consider myself qualified to be able to offer advice to some of the issues that people and answers that people are searching for that are prepared to go to a tarot reader and have a reading. A lot of broken people or lost souls out there. And if somebody's going through a traumatic time and that's why they want a reading, I'm not comfortable or qualified to give that advice. And I'm not strong enough to be stoic and say, well, this is how it is, and you do make of it what you will, because there's too much emotion involved when you're reading for somebody else, not from your side, but from the querent side. And that kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable because I don't know what to say sometimes if somebody comes and says, well, I've got this going on, can I have a reading? And they shouldn't do that anyway, because they're not really to be used to foretell the future. They're more for if you've got a situation and you think, this situation, I could do with getting a bird's eye view of this. So you do a reading and you use the cards so that it can send messages to your subconscious and give you other ideas of why things are like they are, or whether you should take path A or path B, but you've still always got free will at the end of the day to go whichever way you choose. I just kind of use them to try and get a different view, or maybe I've missed something. Maybe I'm in a situation and I've missed something. So I'm going to do a quick reading, quick card spread to see if I can pick up anything in the symbols that might help me along and understand something a bit better. If that makes
Yeah.
sense. It's quite hard to explain.
Yeah, no. When I was doing the card readings at Ragdoll, and I have up until recently been doing the readings. My readings were always about what is it that you need to know to help you on your journey. I didn't like the prediction, and I found it so hard when people would like, "Am I going to have a child?" Like, please don't ask me that question. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it is quite, it is hard. So on your website, is it just like talking about the what is your website about?
My website is more, it's kind of evolved. When I have time to go and put a blog, because I don't always have a lot of time. I mean, I love writing blogs, but then most of my time is spent trying to research and prepare for a Hocus Focus.
Ah,
Um, and then I've got this talk that I've got to research. Obviously, that's got to be really put together, and I've got to get the visuals done for that and things. So the blogging kind of takes a back seat, and it's kind of like a bit of luxury when I have time to do that. Um, so you kind of get a more personal side of me on there. It's not just about work. It might just be about what I'm feeling in the moment or something I've noticed, and I'm going to write about that. Maybe a bit of social commentary. Always under the fortean umbrella with that kind of spin on it. Um, and then I've started putting books that I've read on there as well with a link where you can buy them. If it's a book that I've enjoyed and why I think you'll like it, that kind of thing. There's a bit of my artwork on there. It's just me. It's just like, because with my channel and the work that I do, it's kind of, I'm not trying to sell anything to anybody apart from the books that I write, but that's kind of a natural extension of my work anyway. But I'm not trying to sell a product or a service. I don't want to give you a reading. So I suppose you could say that I'm kind of, it's me that's the brand, if you like. When people watch, it's kind of weird, but when people watch Hocus Focus on my channel, they're watching to see what I'm going to present to them, not what I'm going to sell to them. So my website is just kind of an extension of who I am, of behind the scenes, if you like, so that people get to know a little bit about me, the person behind the camera. And I share some snippets of my life and things like that. Um, Talk about things that I like and things that I don't like. Talk about creativity and expressing yourself, self-expression, and talk about paranormal experiences and all that kind of thing. And it's still that website is still growing, so I've still got a lot more stuff to put on there. It's just finding the time to do it really.
well, what's the other books that you've written?
Well, I'm writing a Hocus Focus Volume 2 at the moment, so I'm on that.
Wonderful.
So yeah,
I
which
need,
I really need to knuckle down with that. But as I say, you think doing Hocus Focus and a bit of this and that, it does take up a lot of time. And then you've also got your own private life as well, as you know. And so
yeah,
I'm kind of doing it as and when I can. But I need to knuckle down with that for
yeah.
the second
I
book.
I remember an experience I had years ago. My daughter and I were on catching the train to Crewe, and we had to do a changeover because it was a direct route from Melton Mowbray. And I always remember this girl got on the no, that's it. I was going with Emma. Emma must have been about 6. And I was really, really anxious and nervous, going on the train. And then we're in this I live in Mount Mowbray, which is a little market town. this girl comes up behind me and she goes, "Can I have a train ticket to Crewe as well?" And I thought, how are you going to Crewe? You know, the odds of that was very like bit weird. And then we got on the train, and then like me and Emma were sat there, and then I turned around and she sat right next to us, and I'm like, "Now you sat next to me." And then it came up on the tannoy, because she was quite a bit older than my daughter. There's a slight change. You know, the train's not going, it's going to stop over at Leicester now. And I was like, "Oh my God, Emma." And the girl goes, "Oh, don't worry. We'll get onto the next train together." And she goes, "Where are you going?" I says, "Well, I'm going to meet my cousin in Crewe." And, but I haven't seen her for a long time, this relative wasn't my cousin, it was a relative. And I said, and she goes, "Well, where are you going to meet her?" So I told her, and we were going to meet at the top of the stairs at the Crewe. So once I got off the station at Crewe, go up these stairs and she'd be here. So she goes, "Well, I'll come on. I'm going to Crewe. I'll get off with you." So we ended up in Crewe, got off the train we did at the train station. And she goes to me again, "Where are you going to meet your family?" And I says, "Oh, up the top of the stairs." And there should be, and she goes, "Okay then." And I looked at the top of the stairs, and there she was. And I turned around to this girl to say, "Oh, thank you so much," and she disappeared. She just did, and I'm like, did I just imagine all of that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I wonder who she was.
I wonder, but she put my mind at rest and managed to change the trains easy peasy, and nothing went wrong. And I got reunited with my family that I hadn't seen for ages. And it was like just the most weirdest experience. And that always stood out in my mind. It's always stayed there.
You see that the kind of spirit guide that I kind of get behind, those that just pop in when needed. They're not called upon, or you've not got Archangel Michael walking behind you because he's got nothing else to do and that kind of thing. But just, something from another realm knew that you needed assistance and thought, there's Jennifer. She's got a light shining bright there. She's got a beautiful aura. I'm going to go down and help her because, I don't want her to get into any unnecessary stress. So I think that's really sweet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And one last thing, what do you think to fairies?
Um, yeah, fairies. Now it depends what type of fairy, doesn't it? There's so many different types, I believe. We've got the whimsical style fairies that we were taught to enjoy as children. And then we've got the Irish she, which we don't want to upset those. Um, and then yeah, I think they're nature spirits. Some of them are nature spirits, and I think if we um respect nature and don't be vandalizing it and leaving our rubbish everywhere, and we don't interfere on with them, they'll leave us alone, kind of thing. I think some of them aren't so nice. Never come across, never come across one, but I think some of them aren't so nice, and we shouldn't mess with them. Um, that's mainly more the Irish fairies, I think, than the English fae. That there's all kinds of horror stories about changelings, isn't there, and stealing
Mm.
babies and that kind of thing. Um, so yeah, I just think you have to be careful what type of fairy you're dealing with, really. A bit like if you're dealing with the paranormal and you work with ghosts and apparitions and spirit, you need to be careful who you're dealing with because they're not all love and light, as we know. Um, and I think they're very much like us. I think they live a life, they have a life, People who've reported seeing them have said, gnomes as well, elves, they've got little shoes and jackets and waistcoats and hats on. And so where do they get them from? So they must have a life like us with industry and a system. And I think they like to keep themselves to themselves. And I think some very lucky people who are very sensitive, they might show themselves to, mischievously just to let you know that they're there, especially with the English fae. They just let you know that they're around. I think also with fairies, it might have to do with the type of person that you are as well as to the type of fairy that you attract, maybe.
I only asked because I'm writing a novel for my daughter and my granddaughter Elsie, who's just turned 1. So I've missed the deadline because she's turning 1 on Thursday. So she might get it when she's 2, or she might just get it when it's finished. And it's like I had writer's block because that's one of the things I loved at school was writing and art. So, and then all of a sudden these fairies just had to be drawn, and I've got about 7 of them, and each of them have got like these little characters. But yeah, that's the reason why I asked. But oh, thank you so much for all your time and energy, Sarah. I found it so fascinating and talking to you. Is there anything you want to end with or share?
Um, I think you've talked me out. I think
I think I have.
everything's come out. I just wanted to show you when you was talking about your cards before, your oracle cards that you use. I just wanted to show you these ones that I use because I was talking about not everything being love and light. I use these to work on my shadow self. So there might be a part of me that needs working on, that I don't like. And I think, oh, how can I deal with this? I don't like being this way. I don't like feeling like this. So I bought these from a seller at one of the Mysterious Earth one year. Where are we? The Dark Goddess cards.
Ah,
And these things sort of go into your shadow self. So and tell you how to be more careful with whatever aspect of yourself it is that it's brought up. Could be not reacting to criticism very well, could be jealousy, could be hatred, it could be you let people walk all over you, that kind of the kind of thing. They're not very nice aspects of ourselves, which we've all got, and there's some really nice cards in there. They're not for everybody, they are quite dark, but they do make you stop and think about aspects of yourself, and you think, oh yeah, maybe I need to be a bit less like that, and they're just really nice. It was just a different pack of cards to the usual whimsical ones. But then having said that, my favourites, I don't know if you've got these. I pick one every day. The answer is simple,
no.
Sonia Choquette. And I just pick one every day for myself. And it'll tell you things like fill the well
Oh,
or seek an expert, um, clear the fog, drop it,
beautiful.
that kind of thing, and things like blow off some steam and whatever it says. I'll have a think about what that could relate to, and I'll go and do it. And
Yeah,
give it to God, all kinds of things.
my cards. Where are my cards? Oh, my cards are here. They're the fairy cards, they are. And these are the ones I worked with, a ragdoll. Because our shadow side is that aspects of us that we keep hidden because we feel like life won't yeah, accept us, isn't it? And it's like, and yeah, they're so old, mine are so old. But yeah, they're the
I
ones.
like listening to your videos when you do those little videos and you pick 3 cards.
Ah, do you like them?
Or in the early days when you was doing it from the garden. Do you remember? You was doing
Yes.
the little videos from the garden. And I've listened to those with the headphones in and thought, oh my goodness, what a soothing voice that is. And even when you leave me your voice messages, on Instagram, and with the times and everything, I listen to it, I'm like melting, like, oh my God, this woman's got such a relaxing, healing kind of voice. I could listen to it for hours when you start doing the cards. I wish you'd do more of those.
Shall I do more?
Or meditations or something, guided meditations. It's beautiful tone that
Oh,
you've got when you do it.
thank you.
Really, really nice. Yeah.
Oh, Sarah, thank you. Because I feel like I'm in a little bit of what's it called? A change in my life, and I'm like, I'm not sure what direction to go and what to do next. And oh, thank you. I will do some guided meditations. I
Oh, I
will
would love
do.
that. I would definitely be listening and tuning into those and thinking, just Jennifer's voice. That's what I need.
Right. I'll do it. I'll do that. I'll do that. I think that's a Yeah, thank you so much. That's really made me smile. That's a beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. You've watched those other videos. They were, and I will do more. So thank you. Oh, Sarah, I honestly could sometimes I forget that it's being recorded and I'm just having a chit chat with a good old friend. Thank you so much. I have really enjoyed, your wisdom and your knowledge, and you really bring the magic into our lives. And so thank you. So I'm gonna delicately or whatever end it. So I'll let you say goodbye to everyone and then I'll end the recording.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. It's been an absolute pleasure to come on and talk to you. And I was so happy when you sent me the message asking me to come and do this. So yeah, thank you. I feel all sparkly and uplifted because I've been listening to you talking, and like I said, your voice is just very, very effervescent, shall we say.
Oh,
So thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
thank you. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And I'm going to put all the links to Sarah's website and her channel in the descriptions below. But until next time, take care and lots of love from Melton Mowbray. Elegantly do this.